Hello friends, this video on Principles of Inheritance Part 19 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Now, whatever laws were given by Mendel, they were the basis. They were just the beginning of genetics. But later, over a period of time, other scientists came up and they also started doing a lot of research, a lot of experiments on genetics, and they came up with many advanced theories on top of the Mendel's theories. So now we will look at chromosomal theory of inheritance. So what is this chromosomal theory? So here you have the term chromosome. So basically we will look at the process of inheritance at a deeper level. So we will see what actually happens at the level of the chromosomes. What are the changes that, because Mendel spoke only in terms of genes. So he was talking about alleles, he was talking about genes, which he called them factors. So he was talking at a superficial level. But the gene, where are the genes present? The gene are present on the chromosome. So what is actually happening in that chromosome? How exactly the chromosome is changing during the process of reproduction, that it is able to carry the gene from one generation to the next generation. So that concept of chromosome, or the role of chromosome in the process of inheritance, was brought into the limelight by the chromosomal theory of inheritance. So that is what we are going to study now. So, however, this is an unfortunate part that even though Mendel spent 7 years experimenting with the pea plants, and he also came up with some of the very basic rules of inheritance, but Mendel's work was not recognized for quite a long time. Now, there were quite a few reasons behind that. If you look at the year, Mendelian laws of inheritance they were published somewhere around 1865. So during that time, Mendel proposed his laws. But he did not get any recognition almost till 1900. So that's a long time, right? So he spent his life without getting much recognition for the laws of inheritance. So that was quite sad, right? But why did this happen? Why was his work not recognized? Because the concept of factors as units of inheritance was not accepted due to lack of physical proof. Now the factors, as per Mendel, what are factors? The factors are nothing but what we know as genes today. But the only way that Mendel gave his rules were on the basis of the statistical data. He kept on crossing different varieties of pea plants, and whatever results he obtained, he noted down those results, and based on that statistical data, he gave all his rules. So now people were not ready to accept that, okay, there is something called factors which actually carry the traits from one generation to another, because there was no physical proof as such. It was all mathematical data. His principle stated that pair of alleles do not blend, didn't turn out universally true. Again, he gave his concept that alleles, they stay together, but they never blend with each other. So that is why, according to Mendel, there will always be a complete dominance which will be observed. But later on, some other experiments proved that if a white flower was crossed with a red flower, pink flower was obtained, which said that in some way the alleles were blending with each other. So in some way the red and the white colors were blending with each other to give an intermediate phenotype. So that way it was like a kind of failure to some extent to Mendel's laws of segregation and the law of dominance. Use of mathematics to explain biological phenomenon was not expected. In fact, Mendel was the first person to make use of mathematics to explain some biological phenomenon, because before that all other biologists felt that mathematics had nothing to do with biology. So they both are not at all related. So people find it very hard to get convinced that, okay, using mathematical data he is giving some rules which governs biology. So that was not very readily accepted by people, and because of all these reasons, people did not pay much attention to Mendel's work. However, later, a group of scientists came up who again did a lot of research on genetics, and that time it was found that whatever Mendel had told, they were not incorrect. They were all correct, being the basis, they were not foolproof. So some additional rules and some additional laws were built on Mendel's work. And that is when Mendel was given the title of being called as the father of genetics. So now the question is, what different happened in the 1900s when Mendel's work got recognized? Now, in the 1900s, there was a huge advancement in microscopy. Now, before that, not very good quality microscopes were available, and as a result, the tiny objects were still not visible to people. Now, with advancements in microscopy, cell division could be studied in detail, like the entire process of cell division. We have already discussed about mitosis and meiosis in class 11. So, if you want, you can revisit the lesson if you want to know about cell division, because that is very important. Okay, so with microscopes, people were able to actually see what are the changes that take place inside the cell during the process of cell division, because cell division is something which affects mostly that portion of the cell which is present inside the nucleus. The chromosomes and everything get impacted due to cell division. So, due to this advancement of microscopy, chromosomes were also discovered. They were like very tiny thread-like structures. So they cannot be seen with naked eye, or even with a normal simple microscope, they cannot be seen. But with the advanced microscopes, yes, it was possible to see chromosomes, and that is how chromosomes got discovered. And that is when people got to know that there is something called genes which is located on the chromosomes, and these genes were the units of inheritance. And gradually, that is how people started trying to understand the chromosomes even better, and trying to relate chromosomes with inheritance. So those days when chromosomes were discovered, they appeared as colored bodies when stained. So in this picture you can see they are looking like some ribbon-like structures which are all colored. Since they were stained, that is why they appeared somewhat like this under the microscope. The scientists got to know that, okay, inside the human body there are plenty of cells, and inside the cell you have a nucleus, and if you observe closely inside the nucleus, you get to see small, very thin thread-like structures which are called chromatin. So here you can see the red thread-like structures, and these chromatin condense to form structures called chromosomes. So this structure is called chromosome, and on this chromosome are located the genes. So there can be thousands of genes located on a single chromosome, and each gene control a particular trait. So that is why we have so many traits in our body, right? So all these traits are controlled by the genes which are located on the chromosome. And thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.